Johnson. Here. Mr. Akins.
Here.
Mrs. Turner Birch. Mr. Lippert.
Here.
Mrs. Macklin.
I pledge allegiance Excuse me, we really have a lot of people tonight, and so if you could keep your conversations, could you just please not talk while we're talking, because it's very hard for us to even hear each other. So if you could please respect that. Thank you. Mr. Akins?
Visitors are always welcome at our board meetings. If you wish to address the board, please complete the form provided upon arrival at the meeting and give it to our treasurer. Oral presentations are limited to 3 minutes each so that the meeting may proceed uninterrupted. Please silence all electronic devices.
Thank you. Item number 2.01 is acknowledgement of our district's goals. You can read those at your leisure. They are on the agenda, and the agenda is posted publicly. Item number 3.01 is our program of studies. Our executive director of academic achievement will be coming up and share with us. Thank you.
That's fine, Ms. Rosecroft.
Good evening, board. Good evening, community members. Board President Boynton, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Paul Warzencroft. I am the coordinator of secondary academic achievement, and I'll be reviewing the changes to the program of studies tonight for Haskett Middle School and Bedford High School. The changes to the...
Excuse me, Ms. Rosecroft, I do
Yes.
apologize. Mr. Milkovich, our technology people, Laura, why aren't our TVs on so that our community members can actually view the, can we get our TVs on?
They are.
This one is, what about the second one for our board members?
That one's not on. They have this one instead.
Okay, this
And you have
is,
to do-
they can see this, okay, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Rosecroft.
Sure. The rationale behind changing and updating the program of studies every year are as follows. We want our decisions to be student-focused. We want to create opportunities for all of our students. We would like to give voice and choice, retain high expectations, align our curriculum with the content standards of the state of Ohio, and give opportunities for staff and students to share their passion with each other. Our timeline is a little bit, I would say, better this year than last year. So in September, we asked our instructional specialists, many people know them as our department chairs, our guidance department, and our administration to review our current program of studies and submit changes to the building administration. In October, the principals and administration had a chance to review these submissions and then send it to our Department of Academic Achievement to review that. We reviewed it in October and November, and then tonight we hope to that you can review it and potentially approve the changes to the program of studies. So for Bedford High School, one of the main changes to the program of studies this year was brought about because the Ohio Department of Education changed the criteria for honors diploma for the entire state of Ohio. Essentially what they did was they added more options and pathways in honors diploma. And I'll share those differences with you here. It's a little small, but I tried to set it up a side-by-side comparison. So this year's seniors and next year's seniors, or our current juniors, the criteria does not change. So if you look on the left column there, our seniors, to graduate with an honors diploma, have to achieve what's in the left column. Now they have to achieve 4 units of English, which is all graduates, 1 unit of fine arts, 4 units of math. That is 1 additional unit of math compared to the 3 units of math that every student must have to graduate high school in Ohio. 4 units of science, 4 units of social studies, 3 sequential units of world language, or 2 separate sequential units of world language, a GPA of 3.5 on a 4.0 scale, and an ACT of equal to or greater than a 27, or an SAT of equal to or greater than 1280. Now, again, currently what the state says is that students must meet 6 out of 7 of those green highlighted areas in order to receive the honors diploma. That's what it is currently. In 2 years, our 2026 graduates will have a few different pathways in order to earn the honors diploma. So if you look in the green highlighted areas, within that area, the yellow highlight is what they changed. So in 2 years, they will not only have to earn 4 units of math, one of those maths will have to be at a level higher than Algebra 2. If you go down at the bottom, they added these 2 criteria as well. Students can earn, or will need to earn, 2 additional diploma seals that's not included in the honors diploma seal, so 2 additional seals. In addition to that, they can also do one of the things at the bottom. They can participate in the field experience, earn the Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal, create a portfolio, or conduct work-based learning. So the state of Ohio has said, starting in 2026, students must meet 7 out of 8 of those requirements. So essentially, 1 more in addition to this year's and next year's graduates. Now, if that's not enough, they added another option. So those 3 options that are currently in the honors diploma choices, the state also said, well, if students cannot reach any of those, or one of those options, they can show a student strength demonstration. And they can replace one of those achievements with a student strength demonstration. The Department of Education says, we will give you 7 more options to do that. And those are listed there. I won't read every single one of them, but for example, students can earn 12 college credit plus hours, which we do have courses at the high school where students can earn that. Students who are in AP courses, if they take 3 AP tests and earn a 3 or higher, they can earn a student strength demonstration, and again, earn an honors diploma. So again, the state of Ohio has just created more options on how to earn an honors diploma. So this is one of the changes in the new program of studies. The next change in the program of studies for the high school is to change the titles for our transition skills courses. This is for our intensive needs students who have an IEP. Currently, our titles for these 3 classes that they take are Independent Living 1, 2, and 3, and those titles don't really reflect what they learn in those 3 different classes. So we changed those titles to Independent Living, Independent Personal Finance, and then Transition Skills. The next change is that the science department has decided to remove some prerequisites in 2 of their science courses. The reason being to increase opportunities for students and to remove barriers. Those prerequisites that they removed is the concurrent enrollment of Algebra 2 if you're going to take honors chemistry. So they no longer need to be in honors Algebra 2. And the requirement to take biology before earth science. So they now should be able to take earth science without taking biology. That's for next year. Our American Sign Language teachers noticed that in the wording of the description for their ASL classes, they did not address the deaf community. So they have added language into that description that is more culturally responsive to the deaf community. And those are the changes for the high school program of studies. Also, I believe that Ms. Robinson presented at the last board meeting where she discussed the new career technical education pathways. So she asked me to put these in there just as a reminder of the career technical pathways that will be in the program of studies for next year. Really small, but currently these are the new courses that we have in the current program of studies. You can see there things like Family and Consumer Science at Heskett and the high school, courses like a cybersecurity pathway, Teacher Academy, Intro to Cybersecurity, Pre-Engineering Technology. So those are all current CTE courses that students are taking right now. For next year, as you know, that Bedford will be pulling out of the consortium, the HEIS consortium, and we will be offering these career technical pathways within our district in and of itself. So I believe there are 12 different pathways, ranging from audio engineering, construction, culinary arts, criminal justice, pharmacy technician, visual communication. And of course that is depending on student interest. They will sign up for these courses and they will run based on the student interest. For Heskett Middle School, very minor changes to the program of studies. We simply updated all the high school graduation requirements, like the honors diploma that is located in the middle school program of studies so that students can be prepared when they go to high school. And then we removed the requirement of a graphing calculator for Algebra 1 and Geometry. With technology nowadays, their Chromebooks have that ability to do those functions, and they don't need to purchase a calculator, which was in there this current year. After the program of studies are approved, we will get it into our students' hands, and the next thing is the students will start to request the courses so that we can build the schedule and create the courses and allow these students to take these new courses, the new CTE courses, and be ready for next year. And our goal is to get these options and these books into students' hands prior to the winter break. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much.
Mr. Washcroft, would you speak to, I know you did an excellent job speaking to the CTE programs, but would you speak to the academic rigor and the academic side of the classes that we've provided for our middle school as well as high school students and all the different programs on the academic side so that our community members would know what we're doing academically as well as CTE to show the balance that we have here at the FC School District?
Absolutely. So we have several honors courses and AP courses for our students. We do focus on academic rigor. We have adopted a new math curriculum that does focus on academic rigor and high academic rigor. We are currently looking at a new language arts K through 12 program that again will focus on academic rigor and be aligned with the Ohio State standards. If you have heard, the state of Ohio has also come out with an approved list, or they will be coming out with an approved list of vendors for our curriculum for language arts. It has to align with the science of reading, and the 3 programs that we are looking at are aligned with the science of reading and score very highly on something called Ed Reports that reviews curriculum and material to make sure it is at the highest standard for the state of Ohio.
Thank you. To our community, I just wanted to share, Mr. Washcroft is our 6th through 12th grade academic achievement coordinator. Dr. Harrington is our executive director of academic achievement. So I wanted to clear that up. Thank you so much, Mr. Washcroft. Board members?
Thank you. Board, do we have any questions or discussion?
I had a question. There was the slide where you talked about the ALS program and the changes. About the added language regarding the deaf community, I was curious, what was the language before that?
The language before that were just referring to deaf or deaf people instead of the deaf community.
So that's the inclusive language?
Yes.
It's just changing that to the community?
Correct.
You were speaking to the curriculum, being implemented. When is that you're looking at the curriculum, or when is that expected to actually roll out? Is it gonna roll out next school year when this is presented, when these changes occur, or when is that expected?
Yes, we hope to complete our decision and our proposal by the end of January, so as to present it to the board and hopefully get your approval and start to provide professional development to our teachers prior to the year ending so that we can roll it out in August of next year.
Mr. Washcroft, a 2-part question. Would you share with the community the benefits of us moving or withdrawing away from the consortium, and then how us housing our own CTE program in our own buildings, what benefit that will be, not just to our students, but to our community as well?
Yeah, some of the struggle right now that we're having with our students is scheduling and transporting students from Bedford to the other schools in our consortium. The challenge is that every single school in our consortium has a different schedule. So we may have language arts in the morning, and they may have language arts at a slightly different time. We may start school at 7:53, they may start school at 8:05. So that creates a lot of transition challenges with the 5 different schools that we're involved with. And as we house all of our students here in Bedford, it eliminates a lot of those problems.
Just a question, curious about, and not that you need to go into details, but when you talked about the prerequisites being changed, what was the original rationale? I guess, do the students need some of that information to be successful in class? And then what is the rationale behind moving this?
I can't speak to the actual rationale as to why those are, but my assumption would be that typically students who are in those other high courses have higher skills and can do better in those classes, but studies have shown that you don't need to have those courses to be in those courses and be successful. It's very similar to, taking a let's say a general U.S. history before taking an AP U.S. history. You don't need to be successful in a general class in order to be successful in a higher level course.
In that same vein of this question, regarding the science, so I see the change of taking place with the earth science, but what about anatomy? Because I did know previously that you had to have one of those, whether it was physics or something, before you could take anatomy. So have we also considered that in that anatomy, because that's a class that anybody could take, you don't have to necessarily, I mean, just probably biology would be considered with that, but have we looked at that one as well?
We haven't looked at that one for this year, but, you know, typically students have to take 3 science classes, 1 physical science, 1 life science, and then a 3rd science. So that anatomy and physiology class is typically a 3rd science. So it, typically, students will have to take a physical and a life science before that.
Any more questions? Thank you so much, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Next on the agenda is item number 3.02, and it's a building presentation by our Glendale Primary School.
Before we do that, I'd like to, if it's okay with the board, invite Ms. Goska and her students up.
Please. Sorry, thank you.
Good evening, Madam President Boynton, Vice President Akins, Mr. Walters, Treasurer Armstrong, and members of the board and of the community. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about the Family and Consumer Science Program. My name is Ms. Gazzo, or as the students call me, Ms. G, because they can't say Gazzo. I'm a member and a resident of the Bedford community, and the proud parent of a 2021 graduate. I also now stand before you as the proud teacher of the Family and Consumer Science courses at the high school. Before I share what we have done this semester, I would like to also introduce you to a couple of students that were able to join us for this short presentation. We have senior Belicia Merritt, senior Kayla Butler, and sophomore Javion Brown. I love all my students, but they were able to come. As you know, there's a lot of practices and extracurricular activities that students are part of. So a lot of them were not able to join us, but they are here with us in spirit. We wanted to take this opportunity to share some of the things that we've been doing in the classroom. We also have a special treat for you guys too. So far, our classes have made strawberry smoothies, walking tacos, breakfast burritos, which include eggs, hash browns, sausage and cheese wrapped in a tortilla goodness, pancakes, edible cookie dough, cupcakes, cheese quesadillas, in which our parents, we did that on Bring Your Parent to School Day, and our parents were able to participate in that also. We've made personal pan pizzas, and just recently macaroni and cheese. With the semester coming to an end soon, after we get back from break, we still have chicken and waffles coming, as well as beignets. Not only do we cook and eat, but our students also learn safety in the kitchen, about foodborne illnesses such as salmonella, cleaning up as you cook, which is very, very important. They learn about our food groups, vitamins, minerals and its importance, fad diets such as keto and Mediterranean. Just recently, the classes participated in an escape kitchen where we had a lesson on herbs and spices, and the activity connected with the lesson was to smell various herbs and spices that I set up throughout the kitchen and have them guess what it was. Some students wanted to use their palate to guess also, which didn't work out too well when they tasted things like curry and chili powder. Coming up, we will be learning about table settings just in time for the holidays. Now to the surprise. Today we made fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, which we would like to present to the board to enjoy. They were made with love from our students. Thank you to Mrs. Robinson, the coordinator of CTE, Dr. Three, a director, Dr. Johnson, Mr. Walters, and the board for bringing back family and consumer science programs to the high school. The excitement around the culinary program is contagious. And thankfully, with the passing of the levy for our new schools, we can continue to expand on these programs for our scholars. They deserve it. Thank you for your time tonight. And for Ms. Gazzo and the Family Consumer Science Scholars, we wish you a happy and blessed holiday season. Thank you so much. And please give these cookies to the board.
Thank you, Ms. Gaza. Really appreciate that. We're here before dinner, so. Thank you so much. Great presentation.
Chocolate milk a little bit, but you can sit this on back also.
Mrs. Gonzo,
This one, yes.
you guys made these at your house, at home? The kids made it at home?
No, we made them at the high school today.
You mean you made them in the high school?
Yes, in the high school.
During the day?
Yes.
That's what?
Yes.
That's awesome, that's awesome.
We have 5 periods of culinary classes, and we made cookies for all the students.
Awesome. We appreciate it.
It gets a little hot in there with those ovens on, but we made it through. So we can sit these in the back and please enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Gonzo. Ms. Gonzo, last one. Did you make these or did our kids make these?
Our kids made
And
them.
I'm sorry, that round of applause would maybe be good for Ms. Gonzo, but this is our kids. This is our kids that made this. Absolutely, our kids did it. Thank you, Ms. Gonzo. Thank you.
Now we'll hear from Glendale. Hi.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having us this evening. My name is Angela Seawick, and I am the principal at Glendale Primary, and this is our Dean of Academic Achievement, Mrs. Litzberg. So we are here to present on Glendale, which is an honor to be there. Our tagline is Pride, Tradition, and Achievement, and our mission is inspiring everyone every day to achieve excellence. Our vision statement is all students graduate as open-minded, responsible citizens, and our core values are students are the focus of all decisions that are made, and as a result, we believe in providing a safe, supportive learning environment, embracing diversity, fostering each student's full potential, building strong family and community partnerships, developing academic excellence through a variety of rich experiences, and promoting respect as a right and responsibility for all of our students. So our building mission and vision is inspiring the Glendale learning community every day to achieve excellence. Our vision statement is all Glendale students graduate as open-minded, responsible citizens, and then we have our ROAR expectations that we review on a daily basis with the students and encourage them to have appropriate behaviors. So we repeat every day on our morning meeting or our announcements: I am respectful, I am open-minded, I am achieving, I am responsible. And just when life gets hard, we always encourage our students to use perseverance, and our theme for the year is just keep swimming. So our building goals are by June 10th of 2025, we will improve the performance of all students, preschool through 2nd grade, at Glendale to increase 60% of the number of students scoring in strength and typical in all areas of the DESA and DECA. And what that does is measure like our students' social emotional well-being. So what we're able to do with that data is see which students really need some assistance from our social emotional learning team. We can provide check-ins with them. We support morning meetings throughout our building and our classrooms because our number one priority is building relationships so that our students feel safe in an environment that they're allowed to take risks and enjoy engaging in academics. Our second goal is we will increase the number of all students preschool through second grade by scoring proficient or higher on our district formative assessment, which is our iReady assessment, in ELA by 75%. And we will improve student academic achievement for all students preschool through second grade at Glendale by 15% of our students participating in learning opportunities outside of the classroom. So we offer a lot of like clubs and fun things in Glendale, which is super exciting to be a part of. Without our office team, the magic that we create at Glendale would certainly not happen. As a new principal this year, I have really learned so much from Mrs. Lipford and of course Mrs. Griegel, who is our secretary, who is the holder of the key to all the things. And without her, I'm not sure how it would have gotten this far. So I had to include her on there. And as I said before, our school theme is Just Keep Swimming. So we all dressed up as scuba divers for Halloween, and we had a beautiful Halloween parade with the kids. So it was super exciting, and it was so fun to see all the students. So we have a few new teachers this year as well, hence the perseverance, because there's been a lot of change, but change is always good too. So our first teacher is Miss Nordstrom, and she is our phenomenal music teacher who is a first-year teacher who's doing great things with our students, incorporating a lot of different songs and instruments throughout her lessons, which is so exciting to see the students engaging in. We have our new librarian, Mrs. Henderson. We have Miss Ryan, who is our first grade teacher, and she is teaching in a co-taught model with an intervention specialist to support student needs. And then we have Miss Cargill, who is our ED teacher. And then last but not least, we have Miss Hannah Kahn, who is our preschool teacher. So what are we teaching? Our literacy program is based around the research of the science of reading. So we have been strategic about scheduling 120 minutes of full instruction in ELA. And this includes read-alouds that target vocabulary and comprehension, so we're building students' background knowledge and getting them exposed to different things through rich text. It also incorporates systematic and explicit phonics instruction and phonemic awareness. We also like to focus on skill-based small group instruction. Whole group instruction is great when it's explicit and short and sweet, but we also need our students to engage in those rich academics where they are exploring through the content and using manipulatives and kind of taking ownership of their own learning independently with some guidance from the teacher, which is beautiful magic. And it often looks like, what do I call it, organized chaos, but it really does create an engaging environment for our students. So some of the cool things that we have incorporated to hit on that explicit teaching is Heggerty, which is a hands-on curriculum that focuses on phonemic awareness. And I did upload some videos, so hopefully we can see them. And they're short and sweet, but I wanted you to be able to see our students kind of engaging. And I don't know, I hope there's volume. I didn't prepare. So that's our Haggerty instruction, and what they do is, if you didn't hear it, it's like got. Tell us got without the t, and it's g, op. You know, they change the ending sound, they kind of manipulate words and do a lot of fun things. So it kind of gives them a creative way that explores learning that way. And then we use iReady to check our students' understanding. We use Foundations, which is a phonics program, that is explicit teaching, and then we still use Wonders for our comprehension and building vocabulary. But then we've also incorporated secret stories, which teaches our students those like high frequency words or sight words that don't always look the way they sound, so you kind of have to learn the role of what certain vowel patterns present. So Secret Stories has these fun little engaging stories, like for AW, it says "aw," and the story tells this cute little story about how the "aw" words are all saying "aw" because they're sad all the time. And it engages the students, and there's visuals for them, and they recall when they see those words in their literature. So it's really exciting to see because the kids get so excited because those short little stories are so engaging. They're like, "Oh my gosh, I see the "aw" word," and then they're able to decode it a little better. For math, we just incorporated a new curriculum called Envisions, which is also very engaging, and it supports like a gradual release model. The teacher will show students how to do it, the students will work together, and then they're kind of released to do some independent hands-on work. And then that provides the teacher opportunity while they're doing the we do to walk around the classroom, kind of see where each student's at, and then they can kind of guide their small group instruction to meet student needs in that moment. So it's kind of a cool process, and our 90-minute block of math instruction happens on a daily basis. So we're also focusing on the MTSS model, which is the multi-tiered systems of support. So what that basically says is about 85 to 90% of our students should respond to Tier 1 instruction. So that is grade level content, and we want to make sure that we are exposing them to grade level content, because that is what's going to push us forward on those state testings. I feel like we've had a lot of focus on differentiating instruction. This kid's doing this thing and this kid's doing that thing, and we're constantly focusing on meeting where they're at, which is great. However, we still need to expose them to the grade level content so we can push them forward. So the other 15% of that tier is just the students that might need some extra support and small group instruction, or our tier 3 students that might need one-on-one instruction and reteaching. So that's the system that we're using, which kind of speaks to our data, which is kind of awesome, and it kind of tickled my fancy when I saw this diagram. While there is quite a bit of red at the top, which is our students at risk, I want to bring your attention to the yellow and the green, which is about 67% in the yellow and 15% in the green. But combine those two, when I went to the PD, they told me the yellow and the green are actually your students that are ready to receive grade level content. So we shouldn't hyper-focus on the students at risk, but we should also celebrate the fact that our students are ready to engage in grade level curriculum, and we should certainly be exposing them to those things. Thank you. So that also goes into our math, but I also forgot, so that's why we did Haggerty and Foundations, because if you see the top two bars suggest that we need a lot of work in that phonological awareness and phonics, and what that means is do our students understand what the sounds sound like? Can they put them together to build words so that they can become eventual readers? And that's what we do pre-K to 2. We are building, we are learning to read so that when they get to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, they can start reading to learn. And we really got to build those foundational skills. So that's where we're going to drive home. While yes, we have some deficits in vocabulary and comprehension, those are things that we will hit on through read-alouds by exposing them to rich text, walking them through those concepts, having oral discussions until they're able to read those texts on their own. So scaffolding them to those top-level tiers. Kind of the same thing for math. As you can see, our number operations and algebraic thinking are probably the biggest concern, but I am confident with our Envisions and the way it's set up and the way we are encouraging our teachers to also incorporate small group instruction that is not differentiated per se, so meeting each kid where they're at, but it is scaffolded instruction so that we are giving them the tools they need to be successful to access that grade level content, because that is, like I said, top priority. We can't keep them down here. We need to keep all of our babies moving ahead. So what are we doing to increase that engagement? Ms. Lifford and I have decided to hold a school-wide competition to kind of enhance our students' engagement in these tests. They can be a long test, like 45 minutes, so we break them up in small chunks. But we also need to encourage them. They work really hard daily in the classroom, and this is our opportunity to just let them know, like, hey, this is your moment to shine and show the whole state how hard you've been working. So Ms. Lifford and I have divvied up the classrooms, and whoever makes the most growth gets to either silly string Ms. Lifford or pie us in the face. So I've been walking around the school building after we made this announcement, and it's been super exciting to be like, yeah, I'm on Miss Seawick's team. She's like, no, I'm on Miss Lifford. And I'm out like walking around like, Seawick, and the whole class is chanting with me. So we're having lots of fun with it. But on top of that, to kind of align the things that we're doing in the building to our teacher evaluation system. So not only are we pushing our students forward, we're also trying to encourage our educators to push themselves forward. So we have created goal setting sheets so that they can have purposeful conversations with each student about where their scores are in the fall, where does the state want them to be, and then the students can kind of work through what goal they want to achieve, and then they can kind of celebrate that growth and also have a visual. So it's one thing to put a number in front of a child, pre-K to 2, they have no idea what they're looking at, so there's no meaning to it, but when you show them that visually and create it on a bar graph, it's a lot more meaningful, especially when you pump it up that way. So that is our plan to kind of push our students and our educators forward to be the best educators and students that we can provide Bedford. Without our preschool, which I was so thrilled to be a part of a building that offers preschool because it is so beneficial to expose our students to these foundational skills and social skills at an early age, and it has really proven to be beneficial. When our preschool students come from our 5-star rated preschool program, they are really like crushing the kindergarten curriculum. Like they're reading above grade level before anyone else is. So it's just a beautiful thing that is happening in our building, and I would love for that program to continue to grow. So please spread the word that we have a great program to offer to all of our families. And then last but not least, one of the other exciting things that our district has done this year is collaborated with the Cleveland Browns. Here we go, Brownies, here we go. So we have partnered with the Cleveland Browns to enhance encouraging our students to come to school each and every day. So our tagline is on time, every day is the BCSD way. So they have a lot of awesome incentives that they've been sending our schools to kind of encourage students, get the word out to parents that like half of the battle is getting the kids to school so that they can be in the building learning. Even if they're sitting in the classroom and not engaging, students are like little sponges and they absorb so much just being there on a daily basis. So it's super important. So we celebrate awesome attendance by giving them posters and t-shirts. And we also have celebrated responsible attendance for our parents or students that had some difficulty in the beginning, but because our team is so well-rounded and so helpful with reaching out to the parents to see how we can assist them to get them to school, they have had like the most improved attendance. So we rewarded them with popsicle, but we also started a little fun activity with the students too that if they have 100% attendance in the classroom, we encourage the teachers to record their students doing their 100% attend dance. So they send us all these cute little videos of all of our cute little babies dancing and having a great day and just celebrating the fact that they're coming each and every day on time, ready to learn. That's all I have for you. And I'll turn it over to our lovely Dean, Mrs. Lippert. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll be speaking briefly about our culture and climate. So we are continuing to really push a welcoming environment and a safe environment for our students. And we are encouraging them to show ROAR behavior. So as Ms. Seawick has already said, We share this every day with our students, saying, I am respectful, I am open-minded, I am achieving, and I am responsible. And so with this in mind, we have a lot of supports that are in place in order to make this an attainable goal for our students. And my favorite is our weekly morning meetings. The purpose of our morning meetings are to just emphasize and rehearse the expectations, to build upon specific skills that we want for our students to enhance, as well as to provide the opportunity for students to connect with each other. So it is school-wide, it is virtual, but it also has a lot of purpose and it has a great impact. We also have these small meditation devices called Zenimals. So they are used to help for students to reset their minds and their bodies to get them back to learning. Sometimes they need a break, and that's okay. So they just come to the office or they go to their classroom's designated Zen zone to use these Zenimals to reset and get back to learning. Next, we have our small groups that are led by our SEL team, and they target students in enhancing the skills of increasing their self-awareness, self-responsibility, making responsible decisions, self-management, and things of that nature. From our small groups, we see like a lot of growth from our students, and then we can kind of like weed them out and start a next round with a new caseload. We also have parents who have adopted classrooms. So over half of our classes have a parent who has adopted the classroom. And so this just provides the opportunity for parents to come into the building to be that extra support, that extra positive adult presence as well. And a lot of our parents, they like to read to our students, and so we welcome that, and it's been a great addition to our school. We also have had our parent and student safety meetings, and these will be done throughout the school year in order just to keep our parents aware of what we are seeing in the school building, as well as what our expectations are for our students. And so we will be having one coming back from break. And if you follow our social media channels, we have a lot of information there. So if you're interested in just popping into our parent safety meeting, make sure that you follow Glendale. And then also, along with the supports that I just said, those are some highlights, but I want to also emphasize our restorative circles. So those are conversations between students when there is what we say harm done to the community. So a lot of times it's just a student says someone isn't being nice to me, and so we have a restorative circle to emphasize being kind. Students share how they felt, and at the end, students usually make up and they want to be friends, and then that's the end of that. We also have our, we recognize our staff, and we highlight our staff for doing amazing things. So while students should be recognized and we push the positive for our students, we recognize the importance as well for our staff. And we also have our SEL curriculum, which is the 7 mindsets, which just pushes into the classroom. So not only are we making sure that students have all of the academics, but we're making sure that they are social, emotional selves are being catered to as well. Our next steps, so we have already done our parent small group and really just sent out that information to have parents to come together to talk about how we could build a school that is more culturally responsive, and to like bring in the parents' ideas, to give them voice, and to just share amongst the administrators, amongst the SEO team, and the parents how we can best support their students. We are pushing our Glendale PTA. We just had a meeting yesterday, and we have some really awesome things in mind. So if perhaps last school year you came to our Grown Up and Me dance, we'll also be having that again this year. It was very successful, so please do look out for that coming in the warmer months. We have our parent coffees, which is a new addition to Glendale, but it is a virtual meeting with parents and is meant to support parents. And so those conversations kind of weed around supporting parents in how do you bring SEL into your home, or how can you prevent the summer slide, or how can you manage stress. So the parent coffees, they are flexible in what the conversation is. It is sometimes what we feel as though parents need to be put in the know of, or it is, what parents feel like they would like to learn more of. And we also will be implementing our student council. So along with all of the supports that I just shared with you, we have our therapy dog program, which is held weekly. We have about 10 students who are participating in this program. However, all of the students in the school get to see this dog. His name is Uno, and they're very excited to see him in our building. And we are looking forward to the games being held by this program. This is the first year that we have had the therapy dog program, and so once it's finished, we'll get the feedback from the students and the families and the teachers. And then this is up in this corner where the cursor is. This is our school counselor. She is leading a lesson that is really emphasizing, like, if a student gets upset, what do? You just go into your shell. Or emphasizing at the bottom, taking a deep breath. And that is something that I'm sure all parents tell their children is just take a deep breath, slow down. And this is an example of our building-wide morning meetings. That's okay.
Sorry, I thought
That's okay.
so you could see Mrs. Lifford's magic in person.
So with our parent safety meeting, we held it in October, and this is the referral data that we had showed. So we believe in just being very transparent to letting our parents know what's happening in the school and what we would like for them to just emphasize at home. So at the bottom, you'll see that this is last school year's data from August to October, and this is at the top our current school year. Last year, we had a total of 35 positive referrals from August through October, and this year we have a total of 230. So it's not that our students were not doing well. It's that we really wanted to help for our teachers to understand the importance of pushing the positive, promoting the positive, because we don't want for our students who are always showing up ready to go, ready to learn, and kind of flying under the radar to feel like they need to kind of like put themselves out there a little bit more in a way that is not necessarily conducive to learning. So we want to just really look at our students who are doing well and continue to talk about what we want to see.
Just to segue too, real quick, it's also super important to catch all students doing well too, so it really gives a focus on making sure we catch all students doing the right thing so that they know when they're doing the right thing, what that looks like and what that feels like, and encourages them to keep going.
And as we already shared, we recognize students and staff. So each month we have our Stellar Student Award. So each homeroom teacher and our special area teachers, they choose a student who is showing ROAR behavior, and these students earn certificates and are promoted on our social media channels. And so students are always very excited, and so our parents are very excited to have this recognition. And we also have our PBIS system, so we have 2 incentives a month, one that is smaller, but then one that is larger. We did have our Fall Fest, which it had a lot of games and activities for our entire school to participate in, and we also have our ROAR store for students to shop. So they can shop with their ROAR punches, so anytime that they are showing ROAR behavior, they get a punch on their punch card, and then they can sort of like cash those in to get like teddy bears or to get pencils, stickers, fun things that they are excited about. And we are also welcoming the community to get involved within the school. So we have a partnership with Baldwin Wallace College where they bring students to our school to read to our students in order to make sure that they are achieving, staying on grade level, and just really promoting reading and writing. We also have a partnership with the Bedford Library with their 1, 2, 3 Read program, as well as their Boost program that is for kindergarten through 2nd grade in our building, and so we're happy for that. And we also had our Father's Walk, which was in collaboration with the Cuyahoga County, Fatherhood Initiative, we had over 100 fathers to show up, and we met at the field. We met at the Hutchinson Field, and we walked all the way to Glendale. All the students, of course, were excited, and our fathers were as well. They had time in the beginning to share what made them proud and what made them want to participate and how they plan to participate throughout the rest of the school year. And we will have for artwork coming from our art studio going into First Baptist Church, and we are also trying to get it into the City Hall. I'm being told to wrap it up.
So last but not least, like we said, our attendance is something that we're really pushing this year. So we really did increase 14% in unexcused absences. And then we've got perfect attendance for, like 33% increase from last year. So thank you all so much for having us. We could go on for days talking about our beautiful building and all the magic that happens there. So have a lovely evening.
Thank you so much. We learned so much about Glendale, and great shout out because, you know, it appears to be a lot of buy-in, not only just from our students and our teachers, but from our families. So that is great. So thank you so much for sharing with us and telling us about all the great things that are happening at Glendale.
My pleasure. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much. Have a good night.
I just have to say, I appreciate the emphasis on belonging, and supporting children with positive referrals in a positive and engaging environment. So I just have to give kudos for placing that in the forefront of everything that you're doing.
Next on the agenda is item number 4.01. It's our time for our audience to participate in our meeting. Mr. Akins will read again the audience participation portion. Again, just to remind you of the 3-minute time limit, and also when it comes to 30 minutes, that particular area will be cut off. Thank you so much.
The audience participation is for those wishing to make public comment and or comments regarding the resolution on which the board will take action during the meeting. Participants will be recognized by the presiding officer and must preface their comments by an announcement of their name, address, and group affiliation, if and when appropriate. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration.
Thank you so much.
So we have Jessica Eberhardt.
Hi, hello.
Hello, how are you? Hi, so my comment and my main concern was at the beginning of the school year, I was told by security officers at the school that parents weren't allowed to have lunch with their students if they called in scheduled. That we weren't allowed in the buildings of the schools at all, which was very concerning to me because I am a very involved parent. Last year I had lunch with my kids once a week. I called and scheduled ahead of time, and out of nowhere, this kind of came down without any discussion, any notification, anything. I was told it came straight from Dr. Johnson, and I just was very concerned at why this was being implemented. And then I do follow you guys on your platforms. I noticed that at Glendale and at Carrollwood, they had the adopted classroom, as Ms. Lifford said, where parents came in and read to the students, which I think is very wonderful because I think it's very important to have parents involved with the kids. So I was just wondering and concerned, and I guess wanted someone to speak to the reason why parents aren't allowed at Columbus and Central, but they're allowed at Glendale and Carrollwood.
All right, thank you so much, and very good question. And someone from,
School Community Resources, Dr. 3 will get back with you.
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
she will. We have your information here. We have your contact information. So Dr. Three will be contacting you within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, and she'll contact me with a resolution?
She will contact you to answer your questions, yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you coming out. Thank you.
Sean McCormick. Sean McCormick.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Real brief question. This is in reference to the bond. I am curious to kind of know the timeline and if the board has started to initiate the timeline and if any monies have been utilized from that, or not utilized, if any initiative has been made to start to pull money from that bond.
Thank you for your question. I just want to say that we do not personally address any questions at this board meeting. I'm sorry, I'm just telling you what's happening. And, but what we do, we have someone contact you, we bring the question and the response back to our board meetings, and the questions are repeated and the responses are also repeated. But I will tell you, there will be a presentation soon about what's going on with the bond. And thank you. Thank you so much. We have your information on your green card. Oh, please add it. Yes, we want to get in touch with you. So you will hear a response to that question. You will not hear the response tonight. Yeah, you can, right here. Could you call the next person?
Mr. or Mrs. Brooks. I can't read the first name. It might be M. Kelly Brooks.
It's Mikhail.
Oh, Mikhail, got you.
Hey, everybody. One of the concerns that I did have was I was in the district for a while. I currently have a senior, fourth grader, and kindergartner. My concern is the lack of.
Could you talk into the mic so we can get it, please? Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. My concern is the lack of communication in the district with the teachers and parents. That communication together is not happening. You can communicate. If you do express a concern about what's going on with your child, it's almost as if you're scared of how they're going to be treated afterwards. Like if they're going to be targeted or picked on, I have to deal with this teacher's attitude or how they're going to feel about it or what's going to happen. Communication and positive reinforcement. It's not happening. Glendale, they do it, but it's not happening. It's like something happened, immediately kick them out of school. How is that helping these students? We're not teaching them nothing. We're not going to do litigation. We're not going to talk about it. The positive reinforcement is not happening at all across the board. I mean, I'm not saying all schools, but it's not happening. It's like they're quick to just tell them, you can go home for 3 days, 5 days, 10 days. And you're like, what are we doing? Communication? It's not like you're being followed up with an email or communication. It's simply just go ahead, go home. I don't see how that's helping our students in no shape or form to just send them home. My other concern was, I was really concerned that a week before school, we get an email about clear book bags. No communication again. I don't understand, how do you have a whole district and don't communicate to them about book bags? People have went shopping a long time ago. Why don't we communicate that a week before school, your kid has to wear a clear book bag? I don't understand that. The metal detectors, I'm still waiting on the answer about that. None of that is being talked about, and I just feel like as a Bedford resident who's been here for so long, we should be able to be talked about them kind of issues that's going to take place. Metal detectors in our schools, our kids have to go there. Clear book bags, let's talk about it. For kids having an issue at school, why are we putting them out instead of talking about what the issue is? Because you make them go home, they come back, what did we solve? We solved nothing. Nothing has been taken care of, nothing has been addressed. It's simply nothing is being solved at all. Just send them home and have them come back. So they have missed schoolwork, classwork, kids' interaction. So much is going on that's not being talked about. And it can just be guilty because you're sitting there.
That's the 3-minute mark for you.
Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention.
May I ask Ms. Brooks, a couple things. What school?
Carol. And Mr. G is amazing, but he has to go by the guidelines. guidelines where they gotta go.
No, I just wanted to get the school so we can address those. So, yeah, we appreciate that. Thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Debbie Gardman. Or Cardman, Cardamone.
Hi, my name is Debbie Cardamone. I live in Walton Hills on Kite Lane. And I have two questions. They were asked at the candidates, meeting of the candidates night in Walton Hills before the election, and I really didn't get an answer. First of all, how many students from Walton Hills come to the Bedford City School District? And secondly, how many total students are in the Bedford City School District? I got a very vague answer on how many Walton Hills kids, and they totally ignored my second question. So I just really would like to know what the ratio is.
We will be back in touch with you. 24 to
Really?
40
You
hours.
don't
Yes,
know
really,
this?
yes. No, I didn't say I didn't know it, I'm just not having an interaction about it. But we do have your contact information, and you can get that information as well.
We're gonna
Thank you. Can we have more meetings? Thank you.
If y'all come, then you know that's how it goes. Write your name, stuff on a card, and they get back to you, so you're not gonna get a response. So all you guys are here.
Thank you so much. You'll get that information, and
I'll
we'll
send
bring
it
it
to
back.
you guys before you can.
All right, thank you.
Patricia Percy.
I can't hear.
No one can hear you.
Sure.
Kind of short. I had two questions.
Pull the mic down to her.
I had two questions on that form.
So your question says, were any Walton Hills residents invited to the planning committee over 2022 through 2024?
Right.
And then your second item said not happy about the 36-year bond.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have your number so we can contact you or email address.
Mary Harbaugh.
I won't even ask my question because obviously it's not going to be answered. It is in reference to the levy days.
Okay.
Would you like for us to contact you to answer the question or not?
Well, you may contact me,
Okay,
but I
thank
would
you.
only want you to contact me if there is any positive action against this for people on fixed incomes and senior citizens. This is going to be a definite hardship for many
Are
of
you gonna
us.
come to the mic and speak for your 3 minutes?
No, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Next question.
Daniel Burrell, maybe, or Bynell.
You live near me, you know my name.
I can't read it.
My name is Daniel Burrell, and I
I am a homeowner as well as an alumni of the class of 2018 from the Bedford City School District. And I am upset about this passing this bond without zero consideration of asking the community members, who would you contact? I never got a contact about the plans. However, not to be aggressive, I wanted to ask two questions, a question and a statement. I would like to ask the consideration of preserving the original high school here next to us. It has been a cultural heritage symbol of this community since it was built in 1958. I have my high school yearbook, in which we have a quote I would like to read to you about the high school. Our Bedford High School is the fourth in a long line of high schools for Bedford. As population grew, a new high school was needed. 1954 construction and was finished in 1959. In time for the senior class of 1959, but the 1958 class did attend the front part of the high school. Eventually, in the late 1960s, the need for a pool and more space caused the construction for the north and south wing and pool to be added. This shows Bedford was a growing community. Our school has turned 58 as of the 2018 yearbook, and you'll see the 58th class. Class of 2018 graduated from its doors. As each class leaves the school, still stands and will forever be our Bedford High School. I would like to argue and say, please preserve it. We are constantly erasing history every day, and this has been a symbol for so many people. And I would like to see it at least considered to be preserved, maybe as the middle school. You could tear off the wings, but please save it. You could build your new high school, but I would like to at least see the middle part of the high school saved, as is a symbol. My second question is, why do you own over 10 unused properties equaling a total land value of $1,843,000 of unused land property? 5 in Bedford, parcel number 814-15040 Justin Street, 0.17 acres. Parcel 2, 814-15041 Justin Street, 0.11 acres. Parcel number 3, 813-06007, 42 Bartlett Road, 3.34 acres. And then parcel number 5, 813-06004 Bartlett Road, 4.5 acres. Then you have 2 in Bedford Heights, 791-33002 Columbus Road, 615 acres. Parcel 2, 791-33074 Columbus Road, Rear Bedford Heights, 1.99 acres. In the city of Oakwood, you have 3 empty properties sitting near the Church of the Nazarene, equaling 2.4 acres, 1.9, 3.75. The one property in Bedford is a total of, as of the Cuyahoga County website, it's valued at $552,000 off of Bartlett. Why do you have all these properties that you aren't using that are sitting empty? You don't pay taxes for them. What are you doing with them? Why can't you use that money to fund the schools? That is my question.
Herbert, Hubert Renah.
I'm a Gorton Hills resident. My name is Hubert Renau. My comment is, because of the drastic property tax increase caused by the bond issue, will the board consider to eliminate or reduce the property tax increase for seniors which are on homestead exemptions? That's my basic question.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you so much.
This is a question to all people from Morton Hills would be interested to hear and answer today.
You guys should probably come to more meetings too, instead of just one.
Danielle Birch.
Thank you. I chose a different mic tonight. because I am a parent, a concerned parent, a K-12 alumni, property owner, taxpayer, and constituent of this community. Once again, in business there is an understanding that the greatest asset is your bottom line or the ones you serve. In a school environment, the bottom line is the students and families, for without them there is no one to serve. This notion needs to be kept in mind in all decision-making, including reactive responses, hyper-surveillance, and hyper-discipline practices, according to the Education Law Center, which states that zero-tolerance policies, aggressive policies in schools, policing policies in schools, and other extreme school discipline practices lead to high rates of suspensions, expulsions, and arrests of students. This results in large numbers of students being pushed out of the school and into the criminal justice system, and further exacerbating trauma and mental health, manifesting a system of institutionalization. There is historical evidence-based data that proves that the culture of this district is oppressive, punitive, petty, and manipulative in its administrative leadership and practices. There is evidence of disparate and disproportionate discipline practices towards educators, staff, parents, and students of the African diaspora lineage, especially Black women and girls. This can be proven through the data of referrals, suspensions, and administrative leaves. In this district, there is an extremely high rate of written referrals, automatic suspensions, and the intersectionality of the two is that they are identified as having a disability. This comes from a dissonant characteristic of subjectivity labeled as disrespect or disruptive. The same is placed on the majority Black mothers who speak up against and or advocate for their children against punitive practices. Discipline policies and practice needs to be reviewed and changed immediately. According to the bylaws, it says that any community member as well as any board member may speak to add any policies and amend them as necessary for the legislative body. Through current conduct practice, the adultification of students need to be stopped. Through current conduct practice, children are subject to criminalization based on the comparative of an adult's actions. This should not be a guide in student discipline. As spoken by parents before, there needs to be an understood, non-discriminatory, progressive action plan to discipline, such as many may have on their jobs. Not automatic 5-day or 10-day suspensions plus recommendations for expulsion to everyone like we on Oprah. The worst part of it is when victims of bullying respond back to their aggressors. This is an abusive response. Criminalizing victims is abusive. Targeting parents or students or anyone that voices a concern is also abusive. No teacher should be able to place their hands on a child and call it being threatened. No child should be sexually harassed, forced out of school, never supported emotionally, physically, mentally, just thrown out like trash. Children being forced to eat trash, figuratively or literally, and expected to perform well is all abuse. All while administration sits back, becomes unresponsive, allows days and months to go by without communication to still do not do anything is still abuse. The spirit of offense and leadership needs to be evaluated, especially when all we hear is we need to pray about it. No action is insulting and feet need to be held to the fire. Accountability is essential to progress in creating a culturally responsive.
Next card will be Ms. Candace Williams. Questions? Candace Williams.
My son, I'm a graduate of the district. My son attends the high school right now, and I have several graduates from the district. I grew up in Bedford Heights, and I am a K-12 graduate, been here all my life. Bought a home in Oakwood Village. I'm speaking today because I've heard that many residents are unhappy and unsettled about the bond issue that passed to build new schools. But it passed because it had majority support. In a democracy, the majority wins. I'm unsure why so many are so unsettled and here to protest or express their disagreement, because the proper place to do that and contest an election is at the Board of Elections, not at the school district. Moreover, our school district has many responsibilities, and by taking their time away from those responsibilities with this supposed concern, we are actually taking time away from moving the district forward for our principals, our teachers, and our students who are the boots on the ground doing the work to move our district forward. In Walton Hills, there was a little over 26% of your residents who voted for the passage of issue 4. Additionally, there are families that live in the Walton Hills community that have children enrolled within the school district. They have not sent their children to other districts. Not everything is about our individual feelings. As a community, it's also important to make decisions for the greater good. Those Walton Hills students deserve new schools too, and the best education they can receive. Lastly, I want to say a bond issue and building schools are very intricate matters. There is no one individual who creates the plan. State and local entities and other organizations and individuals all came together to build a budget and a financial plan. There was no one person that was the financial wizard. Above and beyond this, in 1992, our school district, all 4 communities, passed another bond to build the stadium. It passed 54 to 45%. It was very close. But a former board member that was for that stadium being built supported it and did not have any objection. Now here we are in this time, and because he doesn't agree, now we're protesting. I'm just saying that if our schools deteriorate, our communities deteriorate. So we will begin paying for that because our communities will decline. Our home values will decline. I just want to make sure that we all know that if we can show up like this to protest, we can show up like this to support our schools and volunteer and mentor and do a billion other things and move this district forward together. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That does conclude our audience participation, but there were a lot of questions about the bond issue. We normally do not do this, but because we do have Tad here, he is going to speak on some of the concerns at this time. If you could, just please 5 minutes. Thank you.
So I'll do the best I can. I'm Tad Ellsworth. I am the Executive Director of Operations for the school district. My experience is I was the business manager in Canton City Schools when we built all new schools in Canton through the OFCC program. That's the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. This school district embarked on a journey to examine looking at new schools. It first started in 2008, looking to build new schools. Of course, then the recession happened, and that didn't, so it didn't proceed. Then the district waited another 10 years before it started to look at it again, and started in 2018 and hired an architect and began community meetings about building new schools. Again, nothing happened. And so, here we are. I started in the district in May of last year, and I looked at the Facilities Commission that came in and examined all of the schools. They went through every school and looked at every item. They build schools, that's their job in the state of Ohio, and they found that all of our schools need rebuilt. They found that the cost of renovating our existing schools would exceed the cost of building new ones. So in any case, back in August, I think, of 2022, we hired another architect to come in and kickstart the process again. We reached out to the state of Ohio, to the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission, for their guidance on how to proceed. We then issued a call to the community about coming and signing up to be a part of the Facilities Committee. We had advertisements on our social media. We talked about it on the board, in the board meetings. There were multiple ways, and I'm not the communications guy, but there were multiple ways it was communicated that we were looking at this issue. It's not a secret, I don't think, to anybody who's paying attention in their community that we've been talking about new schools in Bedford for a long time. So The condition of our schools is such that every single building needs a new roof. Our oldest building was built in 1905. Our youngest building was built in 1968. The educational standards at that time were far different than they are today. I just had a meeting yesterday with a representative from the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. We talked about renovating. It would cost $224 million to renovate our existing facilities. And even at that cost, because you can only do so much with a renovated building, you cannot bring it up to current educational standards. You can only fix the things that are wrong, right in the hallways, add some air conditioning, things like that. But you cannot change the overall structure of the building, not at a cost that would be beneficial. So, again, a committee was put together of citizens to come together and look at all the schools, and we explored all the options. We brought in all the old plans that were developed by the previous architect. We had numerous board meetings. We posted all of our meeting minutes online. Everyone could see, if they wanted to, they could engage in this process. We didn't have this many people show up to engage in the process. So it's difficult. You know, I wish that schools weren't funded the way they are in the state of Ohio. You know, having to, you know, the way property taxes work, you know, your revenues never go up even when people's property values go up. Our revenues don't go up; they stay flat. So they force us to keep coming back and asking for more money because, of course, there's inflation. You know, do you know that if this district had actually pulled the trigger on new buildings in 2018, it would have cost about 60% less than it costs now? We saw a 40% increase in construction costs just from 2000 to 2003 alone. Those costs are not going away. Every year we delay, it's going to keep going up. So, you know, I understand. I don't like paying for extra property taxes. I don't think anybody does. Certainly, I understand people on fixed incomes, but this is the way your state legislature wants us to pay for schools. If you want to change that, change it at the ballot box, and that's the way to do it. And I apologize. I'm putting an opinion out there, but in terms of how the bond proceeded, so again, we went through multiple different ways of looking at it. The state will not fund any renovations of our schools because they have what's called a 2/3 rule. If the cost of renovating a building exceeds 2/3 of the cost of building new, then they will only fund building new. That is the case for every one of our schools. The other thing is we've had declining enrollment. So we can't have 6 schools anymore. So the state recommends we go to 3 or 4 schools. The committee wanted 4 schools. So that's where we ended up. So we're going to have a pre-K to 2 building. We're going to have a 3rd through 5th grade building. We're going to have a 6th through 8th building. And we're going to have a high school building. So the way this will work, now we had multiple different ways we could look at it. The state of Ohio is going to fund 21% of this project. The local taxpayers will pay $161 million. That's a lot of money. I get it. I can tell you that when we renovated and built new buildings in Canton, we built 19 buildings for $168 million. But of course that was from 2000 to 2008. Times have changed and costs just keep going up. The overall project will be $194 million because the state's going to kick in another $33 million toward this project. And again, they will only do that if we build new. So we will start out, we will first engage with an architect, so we will hire an architect in January, and then we will hire a construction manager. We will be working with the state on designing the new facilities. We will do a process called visioning, and engagement where we will have community meetings. People are welcome to come and look at and try to dream about what these schools could be. To look at what the 21st century and beyond, 50 years from now, what's education going to be? Because these buildings are still going to be there 50 years from now. It's sad to say that, when our schools were built, we didn't have to worry about security. We didn't have to worry about people getting into schools that shouldn't be in the schools. So we have all these doors that now we have to figure out how to secure. We have all these entrances. When you build a new building nowadays, we have to build them that they're hardened, that they can keep somebody that shouldn't be there, keep them out. Our new schools aren't built that way. It's way too easy for someone to get into a school. That's why we have to hire all these security. Because, the last thing we want is something terrible to happen in one of our schools in this community. So again, we will start out by designing, and we will start the design process in January. And then we will design, the first two buildings that will be designed will be the pre-K to 2 building and the new middle school. The new middle school is going to go on the Chanel property across the street. The new pre-K to 2 building will go behind Heskett, where Heskett is now, on the football field. And you mentioned some property that we own. Part of the reason we own some of that property is because we can create a connection over to Columbus through the property that goes back there that we own. None of that property was bought by this current administration. That was all bought years and years ago when they were looking at building new schools way back when. The districts owned that property for some time, and the previous board chose not to do anything with that property. We're going to do something with those properties. So when we start, we expect design on those first 2 buildings to take the better part of a year. We expect to break ground on the middle school and the pre-K 2 building simultaneously in May of 2025, when design is complete. Then we'll begin design work on the high school. We intend on building the high school while students are still in session. In most of the existing building, maybe. That still has yet to be determined because, the initial idea was that we would tear down the north house and put all the kids in the south house in the middle. That may not work, but we're still examining that, and we'll get into that more when we get to architects. I've heard some complaints from people who wonder where are the designs. Well, you don't design a building before you know you have the money to build it. The cost of designing a building is roughly 6.77% of the total building cost. You're talking millions of dollars. And had we spent that money out of existing funds, operating funds, I think, and then we come back and ask for more money, I think the taxpayers would have been upset that we presumed it was going to pass. So you don't engage with your architect in the school facilities process until, for this actual design work, until you've actually passed the bond. So we'll begin design work on the high school. We hope to move the board offices in a temporary location while the middle school is being built, because the middle school will have new board offices. The reason for that is that in order to make room for the new high school, this building here has to come down. So we're hoping we can actually advance that a year. Initially, we were thinking that the high school was going to be further out, but we're going to try to accelerate that process because we will save hundreds of thousands of dollars just in construction inflation by moving that project up more quickly. So that's what we're going to do. Now, in terms of how the bonds will be issued, that's more of a treasurer's question, but I can tell you that we only issue bonds for what we think we're going to spend in a period. She has to be able to certify, treasurer has to be able to certify contracts under Ohio law. It means you have to have the money for those contracts in place. So initially, when we start design, we won't need all of that money. We will just need enough money to certify the contract for the architect and for the construction manager at risk. Then, when we get ready, when we actually get to the point where we're going to bid the project, the first buildings, then at that point, we'll have issued the first set of bonds. We may issue more than one time on the bonds, and I'm not the finance guy, so I'm not sure how that'll work exactly. But the Cuyahoga County auditor will only collect those tax dollars that are necessary to pay those bonds at that time. So you may not see your property taxes go up all at once. It may happen gradually over time. And again, I can't predict that yet because the financing plan isn't entirely in place. But what I can tell you is the process is highly regulated. Every penny that is spent has to conform to the Ohio School Design Manual. We have to submit reports to the state that are audited and that have to be signed by the treasurer, the board president, and the superintendent before payments can be made to contractors. Those reports will go through every phase of every single one of these projects. We will be, so there's a high degree of accountability on how this money is spent. And it's enormously important that we follow that school design manual as closely as possible in order for us to maximize the state share, because that state share is going to pay for our fourth building. The fourth building will not be built until we receive the state money. And we had an option to try to go for more money at once, to try to build all four buildings. But we didn't feel that that was a responsible use of money to do that. So we're going to wait. We're going to house the 3rd through 5th grade students at Heskett. Once everything's complete, they'll be housed at Heskett while we wait for the state money to come in. And then when the state money comes in, we'll build a new 3rd through 5th grade building on the current Columbus site. And we expect, again, depending on how long it is till we get our state money, we expect that the cost will be within the amount of money that we get from the state. So we won't have to ask for any more money. One of the things that you will see over time with the new buildings is that our operational costs, we will be more efficient. Right now we have old steam boilers throughout the district. They're horribly inefficient. And so we'll be using new hot water boiler systems. We'll have indoor air quality systems, which we don't have any of right now. We'll meet all the IEQ standards. Our schools will be ADA compliant. Do you know that not one of our schools is ADA compliant? Not a single one. And so our schools will all be ADA compliant. Again, we know it's a big ask of the community, and this is a democracy, and we were very fortunate that so many people did come out and support the bond issue. I do believe that the students of this district today and in the future deserve high-quality education and high-quality schools. And if you've spent any time in our schools recently, and if you've seen what new schools look like in most of the districts around us, almost all of them have new schools. It's night and day. It's night and day. And you can go to the high school right now, and if it rains, you're gonna get wet. And in order to fix that, I'd have to put millions, probably $8 million, to put a new roof on the high school of taxpayer dollars in an old building that doesn't meet current educational standards, that wasn't built when there was an internet or personal computers, or certainly cell phones. It's a different day and age. So, again.
Thank you. And I would like to say that we normally don't do this, but there were a lot of questions about the bond, the new buildings, facilities, meetings, everything. So, but please note that all questions still will be answered to the individual. We will bring it back to our board meeting, and we will, again, we'll announce the questions and the responses, but you will be hearing from us. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming out. Next on the agenda is
Yes.
next on the agenda is item number 5.
Item number 5.01 is the approval of minutes. Could I have a,
So 5.1 through 5.02, just minutes, and 5.04.
5.01 is our October 19, 2023 minutes. 5.02 is our November 2nd, 2023 minutes. 5.03 is our November 16, 2023 minutes. And 5.04 is for approval of all those minutes. So could I have a motion? Okay. Could I have a motion for 5.04 to approve the minutes for 5.01, 5.02, 5.03?
Motion to approve the minutes from listed in 5.01, 5.02, and 5.03.
Second. It's been moved by Mr. Lifford and second by Mrs. Mackler. Do you have any questions for the board?
Are we caught up at this point? Because I know it's moving in January, are we gonna be able to do?
So this is, the only one that was outstanding was the October, was it their October one? I think that was the oldest.
Yeah,
And then, yes, the rest of these are current.
okay.
So this is
we'll-
through the
we'll be
last
up to
meeting.
date when we move into January.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any more questions, discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Mrs. Macklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mr. Lifford?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. Item number 6.01 is our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as it is presented?
Motion to approve consent agenda as presented.
Second.
It has been moved by Mr. Akins and second by Mr. Ledford. Board, do we have any questions or discussion about any item on the consent agenda? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Mr. Lifford?
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Macklin?
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. Next is item number 7, which is our superintendent's report. Our superintendent is not here, as you've seen tonight. And, no, thank you. Item number 7 is our superintendent's report. Our superintendent is not present tonight. She had an emergency. So 7.01 will be our CT job description, presented by the Executive Director of School and Community Relations.
Madam President, on behalf of Dr. Johnson, our superintendent, 7.01, which is presented, our CT job description, you have it there in your agenda items. Are you comfortable with going to 7.02? All right. Also, our superintendent's report, 7.02, service contracts executed by Executive Director of Academic Achievement. 7.03 will be field placement agreement, also executed by our Executive Director of Academic Achievement. Approval of our program of studies, again by our Executive Director of Academic Achievement. 7.05, we have building permits, facilities requests, and then 7.06, which is resolution to approve application for a waiver via the Executive Director of Human Capital Equity Inclusion. They're requesting, can we move the agenda so they can see where we're at on the agenda items? Currently, we are at 7.
7 points. Yeah, we're on 7. Superintendent's report, please. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Thank you.
Underneath the superintendent's report.
Superintendent's report. You can move on. Are you gonna do scroll down?
just a little bit, come back
Come
up.
back
We're
down.
at 7
7
point.
point. Yes. 7. Okay. We're at the superintendent's report. Our board, would you like to take those separately, or can we do them as a consent agenda? That's it? Everybody's good? So can I have a motion to approve 7.01, 7.06? Motion to approve this, all the items listed in 7.01, 7.02, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Could I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the superintendent's report in all, item 7.01 through 7.06.
Second. It has been moved by Mr. Lifford and seconded by Mrs. Macklin. Board, do you have any questions or discussion about any of those areas?
I have one. What is the field replacement in regard to?
Which one are you speaking of?
This is, 7.03. Field placement agreement, Mr.
May I, Madam President?
Yes, please.
Dr. Harrington, would you come and speak to the field replacement? This agenda item is executed by Executive Director, Mr. Dr. Kenya Harrington, Executive Director of Academic Achievement.
I'm sorry, it's in the back, I didn't hear it all.
It's the 7.03, the field placement agreement.
For student teachers, individuals interested in the profession of education. So working with our neighboring universities and colleges, determining where they're going to be placed as a requirement of their graduation.
Okay, and this is only gonna be between Grand Canyon University?
It just depends. It could be a multitude of universities. At times what happens, the university will reach out to the school district. There's conversations about is it a good placement? And then that student is placed with a particular teacher that's identified.
Okay. Thank you.
I believe we also work with CSU in Kent. I've seen, we also get a little stipend for the students working with our, with the student teachers working with our teachers. So I have seen payments coming from those schools as well.
No questions? Thank you, Mr. Harrington. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lippert,
Yes.
Mrs. Macklin,
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton,
Yes.
Mr. Akins,
Yes.
and Mrs. Turner Birch.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. Next is item number 8, treasurer's report. And we have items 8.01, 8.02, 8.03, 8.04, 8.05, 8.06, 8.07, and we will hear from our treasurer.
Good evening, Board President, Mrs. Boynton, and Vice President, Mr. Akins, and board members. So item 8.1 is student activities, budget, purpose, and goal statements. That's a standard one that we see. Again, that's when a group or a school for their student activity funds is submitting their budget and for their spending. Item 8.2 is the purchase orders then and nows. Item 8.3 are gifts and donations. We have donations from Gale's Garden Center for corn stalks. We have a donation of some art supplies and containers with a value of $2,500. We have a donation from the Bedford Lions Club for headphones for individual students valued at $110. And then we also have a donation from, I'm not going to mess up the name of the foundation, in the amount of $3,075 to fund a mobile planetarium to come to Columbus for their science program, part of a family engagement night. Item 8.4, it's a resolution requesting the property tax event. So this is a standard yearly requirement that we have to submit to the Cuyahoga County Budget Commission. And basically they advance us our tax dollars, and then we get a settlement payment once all of the tax payments are actually made. So it's just every year we have to request it by December 15th to the county commission. Item number 8.05 is a fiscal officer certificate, and this is in relationship to the band anticipation notes and the bond issues that I will talk about in 8.07, and I think I might have skipped one, and 8.04. All right, yeah, no. Well, it basically gives me the authorization to sign the paperwork that we need for our bond issues and for our bans. Item 8.06 is an amended appropriation of certificate and estimated resources. We've talked about this a few times. This is again where I go back to the county and say we're adjusting our budget based on trend, and then also this is truing us up to last board meeting's 5-year forecast. Mainly the general fund we're fixing, and then also some additional grants that we received, so we have to increase the appropriations in those accounts. And also we received our carryover to some of our grants, so we have to bump up those budgets for the carryovers that were approved by the state. Item 8.07 is a resolution authorizing a bond anticipation note. So Tad spoke about us hiring our construction managers and the architects to design the buildings. So for me to be able to certify those contracts, I have to sign a 412 certificate. So the bond anticipation note is pretty much a loan until we receive our bond proceeds. And this is authorizing us to request those bans up to $15 million. And that's 8.7. And that was the last one. You got, that was the last one.
Yes. What would you like these in the consent agenda, or would you like for us to do them individually?
As a whole report.
Consent.
Consent,
I
the
mean-
treasurer's report, yes. And
Yes.
all.
And all right, could I have a motion then to approve 8.01 through 8.07 as it is presented by the treasurer?
Motion to approve the entirety of the treasurer's report, 8.01 through 8.07.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Lifford and second by Mr. Aiken. Do we have any questions, discussion board about any of these items?
I have one question.
Okay.
And so I'm sure you may not know, you may not have the answer today, but for 8.03 gifts and donations, the foundation that's donating for the mobile planetarium, do you know if that's going to be enough to offer this to both of our intermediate schools? Because just so we can be equitable to all of our 3 through 5 students.
I do not believe it is, but I will pull up really quick. I know he submitted the budget, so Mr. Huff had to submit a budget to the foundation. So this is covering, I know, the cost of the teachers that will work it. It's covering the actual planetarium, and give me 1 second, I will pull it up.
It's an in-kind donation. They're not giving us a planetarium. They're donating.
They're donating the cash to cover us to pay for the planetarium to come. So we submitted a budget, so they're gonna give us the cash, and then we will in turn hire the organization that's coming out. I don't know if it's COSI or not, I can't remember. I know Mr. Huff told me a little bit about it. And then also the staff and some other things.
But essentially, he would have had to request that, so the other school would need to do the same.
The same thing, yes. Yep, and if on the attachment, I think the budget is there that originally was submitted. If not, I can get it for you.
Any more questions for him? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Mrs. Macklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
Already got you going.
5 to 0.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. Item number 9, Board of Education, business, new business, old business, all business. 9.01. Actually 9.01. We didn't forget you. We want to recognize our board member that will not be with us starting in January. And we would just like to say to you, Mr. Lifford, it has been a pleasure having you on this board. Thank you for all of your great questions, and thank you for just being part of a great team. You made us a great team. Thank you so much, and we will definitely miss you. So, thank you for your service. We do have just a little dessert for you, and we also have a certificate. And the certificate says, certificate of appreciation for Brandon Lippert for his service to the Bedford City Schools. Appreciate you, and I know you'll still be involved because you're part of our community and you'll always be a part of us. Thank you so much. And
I just want to say you'll definitely be missed as a fellow board member. We definitely need that type of thought process that you brought, where you just ask these questions that make us think, to make sure that we're making our decisions, you know, in a due process, that we're not overlooking anything, and I definitely appreciate that. And you have big shoes to fill, so I'm hoping that next month we shall bring in somebody else and hopefully fill those shoes.
I ditto what Anthony said. You bring a thought-provoking, thought mind to every space, asking for that clarity and understanding to really unveil what it truly is, really operating in transparency and agreement, and also serving in humility. So I definitely appreciate and value the service that you have brought to this space.
turn the mic off, Sharon.
No, I just want to say thank you for being here, for working with us. Sitting next to me was a pleasure. And I think that you're really going to be missed, but I'll see you somewhere, somehow, some way. Congratulations on your new road to where you're going and what you're doing.
All right, so thank you all, and thank you everyone. As you may be familiar, I actually lost the election, you know, and so by, well, whatever you call it, ultimately sat in this seat, and I took it as a great honor and a responsibility and duty to be able to try to contribute to the best of my capacity that I could. And the decision actually not to run again was about capacity. So I have a number of different things that that I'm committed to and that I've been assigned to do, and I didn't feel that I could give this role as much as I think it deserved and needed. So I decided to not run in hopes that someone else would be able to give it what it deserved. And so that was the reason. But I have witnessed the excellence and the honest investment in our kids, which makes me believe in what we're doing. And you saw that tonight with Tad's presentation, which was fantastic, phenomenal. And you know, our superintendent, this Board of Education, our directors, executive directors, are excellent people, and they're doing a hard job, right? The complexity of all of this and dealing with living people, little people, and grown people, and all of this is a very difficult job. And to be able to do it with conviction and commitment and grace, even in a hostile environment, or just not to make enemies of people, but to keep our kids at the forefront of what matters. Because sometimes in order to serve kids and do what's right, you have to make an investment that hurts you. It's called sacrifice. That's what it is. That's what it is. So, understanding sacrifice is the only way that you can actually do great things. So, I just want to commend the people who are making sacrifice because it is our future. And if we don't do right by our kids, that blood is on our hands. That's living blood. And so when you're called to make a sacrifice, you have to make that sacrifice. And then you have to believe that it will play out the right way because you did the right thing, which is what I believe. And so it's going to be all right. It's going to be good because we're doing the right thing for our kids. And I just hope everybody keeps that in mind and continues to support these people who are doing a very hard job, the best that they can. And where they fall short, giving them enough grace, coming to the meeting and talking through it without hatred or making enemies, but trying to win each other over so that our kids can continue to thrive. That's what it's all about. That's why I kind of ran, because I wanted to be a part of helping our children. Because at the end of the day, that's what I care about. So, thank you for the opportunity to serve. And once again, thank you to all of the people who are making a sacrifice, because it's the right thing to do, and you have to do the right thing. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And Brandon will be leaving, but I just do want to recognize our new board member who will be sworn in on January 4th. It is Ms. Angelique Carter, which is She said we do have some big shoes to fill, but you can do it. And you know what? Brandon probably be right there with you all the time. Just unless if we're not there, he'll be there. We know where to find Brandon. You know, he's local for real.
Indeed.
So we thank you. We heard a word. Thank you. Appreciate that. All right. Next is we will have an organization meeting for, and this is our portion of the meeting where we will talk about some of the things that will be happening at the organizational meeting, which will be January 4th. We will be all new members. We will actually be Mrs. Carter and myself will be sworn in on January 4th during our organization meeting. But there are a lot of things that happen at that meeting before our regular meeting. And I'm just going to skip to 9.03 even this year because we do have to have someone to chair that meeting because as of December 31st, there will not be a board president at that time. So we would have to have someone to conduct the meeting. So at this time, board, we are going to talk about the first thing, which is 9.03, is talk about who would be the pro tem for that meeting. Of course, my recommendation would be the vice president. I will not be chairing that meeting as the former president. So, board, if we could be all in agreement for Ms. Akins to chair that portion of the meeting. During that meeting, whoever's chairing it, then we will actually take a vote on who will be the president, the new president, and the new vice president. But first things first, and we have to have a pro tem, so we want to decide that tonight, who will be that person conducting the meeting on January 4th, that portion of the meeting. So I know when I was sworn, I was the vice president, so I did chair the meeting. I just think that we should follow that. If the board is in agreement, we can inform the treasurer tonight who will be the pro tem. Okay. Then Anthony, can you take a vote on that and then just name the person? Do we have to? Can I have a motion? Sorry, can I have a motion? I'll go to 9.03. Okay. Please have a motion to approve the pro tem, which is Ms. Akins.
Motion to approve Mr. Akins as President Pro Tem for the January
Organization meeting.
organization meeting.
Thank you. Second. It's been moved.
Lifford, and second by, Mrs. Turner Birch. Roll call, please.
Mr. Lifford,
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Birch,
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton,
Yes.
Mrs. Aiken, Mr. Aiken,
Abstain. Yeah, I can vote for myself. Oh, yeah, I can vote.
You want to vote for yourself?
and then Mrs. Macklin.
Yes. Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. So Ms. Aiken will be chairing that meeting on January 4th at 6 o'clock. That'll be the beginning of our organizational meeting. Now we're going to go back to 9.02. Should we just talk about some things? And board, I just want you to think about some the committees that will be before us, and this is just a discussion. We'll be talking about our board meeting schedule, and I want you to keep in mind that we did have one meeting in July of this year, and we're having one meeting in December, and our board meeting in July is on July 4th. If we continue with the first and third Thursday of each month, that's something we have to think about, talk about, and decide upon. The meeting in July is July 4th. We will not be having a meeting then because we probably all be out of town. But school, we won't have a meeting on July 4th, I know that. Last year we had, we reserved the meeting in July for July 10th. That is the last day for teachers' contract. And so we'd like to wait till the last day so we can see who's leaving, who's coming, and then we can approve the staff for before August, because we do have one meeting. So it is suggested that we have that, oh gosh, I don't have the date, but it's that Monday after July 4th, yes. So I want you to at least consider that. And also the one meeting in December, July 8th, consider a Monday, or consider another day, but no, it's not July 8th, I'm sorry. It will be after July 10th, because that is the last day for signing of contract. So it needs to be after July 10th, possibly July 11th.
Yeah, can we speak 11?
July 10th, before July 10th, as close as possible. I remember Dr. Johnson requesting that last year, and so we do have to look at that. We actually could do it on the 10th, that's what it is. We could do anything before the 10th. So it could be Wednesday, Tuesday, let's think about it, we can talk about it now. I did want to, it's gonna be voted on the 4th, because we do want to allow the new board member to be on board to have a voice in that. So we're just looking at those days. We are present tonight, so we're looking at having the 10th or before the 10th, but definitely not on the 4th. And I'm not sure if we want to do it on the 5th either, so that's the day after the 4th, because I'm sure people don't want to come back if they're on vacation. So we're going to look at that. We do have to look at the internal, the committees for OSBA. I'm still going to be a part of that, so we would like for that application to be completed, so we'll talk about that. And they have several committees that they're asking us to be a part of. Mrs. Armstrong will be sending that out to the board members and to our new board members to talk about those committees and what they entail. Currently, Mr. Lifford, I'm not sure. I know everyone knows what committee they're on with OSBA. Ms. Turner Birch, if you're on a couple. OSBA allegedly. Yeah, you were two before you met. Right. Yeah. And I know Mrs. Macklin was on the foundation committee, and then there's the student achievement liaison, and you're a delegate as well. So we'll have all that going out, so everybody look for that in their email, so we can talk about that, and also talk about, you know, what is asked of all the board members to do. We'll also talk about, Mrs. Armstrong is actually looking into the internal committees that treasurer requesting of the board members, as well as the superintendent request. I was under the impression they were going to, it was
based on school year, not calendar year, she's checking on that. So there's a lot of things that will happen at the organizational meeting. And after the organizational meeting, we'll go right into our regular meeting. So, I guess, we'll be electing president, voting on president and vice president. So, I guess until the first, I'm actually contacting you, sending out those things until I know I'm the president, so we can at least be prepped. And Mrs. Carter, you will be receiving all that communication. All right. Anybody have anything they want to actually? Oh, one other thing I would like for the board to consider, because we have been talking about it for the entire year. We've heard a lot this year about the lack of communication. So the Board of Education will be looking at the community engagement opportunities that we will host. And I know the former board, before this board, had community engagement, and they would really want some, it's just something to think about, and the location of those meetings and who's going to attend and how it's going to be set up, the whole thing. I think it is important that we have those. I know a lot of things are very time consuming. We all are workers, we all have families, and so to make that commitment, let's think about it, think about how we're going to do it and what we would like to do. And of course, was heard in that as well, Mrs. Carter.
We need to approve the organizational meeting.
So if I want to see if there's anything else you guys want to say about. Can I have a motion to approve the organization 2024 organizational meeting? Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Mrs. Macklin and second by Mrs. Turner Birch. Anything else for it? All right, roll call please.
Mrs. Macklin?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton?
Yes.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, board. 10.01 is, could I have someone read why we need to go into executive session tonight? That is an executive session, and I just need to have a motion to approve to go into executive session.
Motion to go into executive session for the purpose of conference with attorneys of the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are subject to pending or imminent court action and matters required to be kept confidential by federal law or regulations or state statutes.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Akins and second by Mr. Akins and second by Mr. Lippert. Roll call please.
Mr. Akins?
Yes.
Mr. Lippert?
Yes.
Mrs. Boynton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turner Birch?
Yes.
Mrs. Macklin?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0. I would like to thank everyone for coming out, but I would like to say that we are going into executive session. There will be no